And I bring this out, it has nothing to do with my sermon, but Phillipians 2:13 says, "For it is God at work in you, both to will and to do of his good pleasure." Because how many times are we willing or just don't want to do? It's a lot of effort, Lord. You know, walk in love with them, really? You know what they did, right? And, our flesh, that's how it talks. And in one of the translations, it says, "Remember, in all your choices, God is at work in you, both to will and to do of his good." All your choices, good and bad, God is at work. When you take hold of the fact that no matter what route you go, good or bad, whether you're a kid that's running in the street or staying by your mama's side, he's at work in you, both to will and to do. He'll get you out of that street. He'll keep you in your place. He'll preserve you. He preserves you. He is not about destruction. I used to get a daily devotional from scientists who were Christians. And in James, where it says, talking about God, there's no shadow of turning. He said, because he's pure light, that means there's no deterioration in him. No deterioration. So where are we? In him. There's no deterioration in him, right, Rhonda? No deterioration. I don't care if you're the lady in the hospital, Maxine. Apparently there was no deterioration in her because of him. Because the life of God, Jesus came walking in that room via Phyllis, right? I used to go to the mall and be very self-conscious. Because there's always someone looking better, someone looking worse, but mostly you focus on those that look better. And there's just this pressure, right, to be beautiful and perfect. And all you think is, well, I don't have a long neck. Everybody in the movies have a long neck and a high forehead. I've studied it out. I have a short forehead and a short neck, and it's just not right. I have short legs and a long body. Like almost, never mind. So I used to walk in the mall that way, just feeling awful. And because why? Because I was focused on me. And me is not strong in and of myself. But as I began to focus on Jesus and that Jesus is in me, I would just do this thing. I'd say, Lord, I'm not going to the mall. You're going to the mall. You shop through me. You do the shopping, you do it. And I'd pretend, I'd look in people's eyes, I'd think, they don't know, but Jesus is looking in their eyes. and I tell people, they don't know, but Jesus is shaking their hand. And it turned my view. And I went to the mall not too long ago, and I went and I was done, and I realized, I wasn't bothered at all. Why? Because I wasn't thinking about me. I was thinking about how Jesus. And sometimes, you're confronted with things, and I do this little thing. You might practice this. I'll just say, Jesus, I don't know what to tell these people. I don't know what the answer is. You just speak through me. And I'll say amazing things. And I'll say, what wisdom, and I'll think. You just yield. You just yield. The same way you spoke in tongues, you yielded your lips and tongues to a language you didn't understand. The same way is the same principle in everything. You just yield to him. And I wanted to say that because, the Lord's used me as interpretation here in this meeting, interpreting tongues. And I didn't set out to do that. I didn't say, well, I'm Kenneth David's granddaughter. I probably should interpret. That was the right? The first time I interpreted publicly, I was 20-something. I don't know, 25? Something like that. And this lady, Christine Mann, she was pastor at the time, her and her husband, at our church, and it was a women's meeting. I think I was just newly married, just got married. And so we'd had the luncheon, and they were all just standing there staring at us, and I'm just standing by Christine because I was helping. I'm just doing all the background, right? I'm a background person, right? I'm not. That's ridiculous. What do you, no, I'm a background person. And she speaks out in tongues, and I'm waiting. And I open my eyes, she goes, "You interpret." And I thought, "You're missing it." What? And I was like, Jesus, 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 you know. And all I could hear, I hear Papa's voice saying, "When I move in the Spirit, I just go with the first word I hear." And I thought, what's that word? What's that word? What's that word? What's that word? And it was like I just heard one word, and I thought, here we go. I said it, and then I don't know what I said. It just came out like a gusher, like you pop a cork. It just came out. So I don't interpret because of who I am in the natural. I interpret because it was God's idea. You do things because it's God's idea, and often you don't have the ability within yourself, because if you did, what's the point of having Him? He does know a little more than us. He's all-knowing, right? So this is a gift to covet. If you are here and you have said, "I wish I could do that, but I'm nobody," or "I'm a background person," or "I could never do that," I want you to reconsider. I want you to give this some thought. Please, give it some thought. That if this is what you want, I can covet this gift and I can interpret. And like I said, you know, it started out that way, but I had always, you know, spoken tongues in prayer, and not elaborately, but interpreted my own prayer. That I didn't start out just in front of these ladies, but I didn't really know that I didn't know I was ready. But He knows you're ready. It's kind of like when my daughter Amanda went to first grade. We're walking in the hall, and we get to the door, and she stopped. She's teeny tiny. She's only 4'11". She was teeny tiny. She stopped. I was like, "Go on in." I couldn't budge her, this teeny tiny. I couldn't budge her. She wasn't going in that room. She wasn't going to cry, but she wasn't going in that room. You know, sometimes we do that. We're like, "I don't know if I'm ready for this." Step into grace. Step into His mercy, and He gets you ready, lickety-splits. Yeah. And makes you look good doing it. He's so good to us. There's a couple other stories I'm going to tell that have nothing to do, sort of, kind of, with what I'm going to teach, and I won't take a long time. I have a friend, her and her husband were very, very extremely wealthy millionaires, and they literally lost everything. Everything. They had remember one day, they said, "We have $16 in the bank and no hope of any income." Nothing. Nothing. And these are people older. It's not like they were young, and you know, when you're younger, it's a little easier. You think, "Well, I got time." When there's more time behind you than before you, it's like, there's a temptation to think a little differently. And I remember she just kept smiling and trusting the Lord, and it's not that she didn't go through things, but I remember 2 things happened. They stayed with us for 6 months, and the first thing that happened was somehow they got into Copeland's meeting, and the hotel was paid for. They spent the whole week being fed spiritually. They had no money. They didn't have money for lunch. They didn't have money for gas. They didn't have anything. But somehow, God, they're at the conference being fed, which is what they needed. And the next month, he's a businessman. He's trying to get started up in business. And the next month, they're in Miami They're in the top of $1 million condo. They're not paying for nothing. They're not paying for nothing, but they're there. This is the phrase the Lord told me. He said, always look for my provision. Always look for it. You know, that was an extreme situation. One of my son's friends passed away, and my son Daniel was going to speak at the funeral, and I couldn't get there till late, and I just said, Lord, you know, the usual, find me a parking spot. So I had a parking spot. This was packed. It was a small church and a lot of people. And I walked in, and I thought, oh my Lord, I'm going to have to stand for this whole funeral. It's not easy holding all this up. Sorry, but it's not. In the natural. And I just thought, oh, Jesus. And all of a sudden, this lady's, yoo-hoo, yoo-hoo. I was like, and I knew her. And she says, I saved a seat for you. She said, I didn't know, she didn't know I was coming. She didn't know. She goes, I saved a seat for you. I knew you'd need one. I was like, and then the Holy Spirit, that's when he spoke to me. He said, always look for my provision. You're at the airport. I'm sorry, your flight's canceled. Okay, where's your provision, Lord? You're at the store and you realize you've left your wallet at home. Look for his provision. Look for his direction. Always look for his provision. And the last story I'm going to tell has to do with sort of what I'm going to teach on. My little nephew, Hugo, my great nephew really, adorable child, beautiful child, and I'm not just saying that, it's been confirmed by others. They'll tell you. Anyway, he has these amazing, beautiful blue eyes. They're the most beautiful eyes you've ever seen. And one of them is blind. And was blind. He had nothing, couldn't see anything, it was dark. And so when he was about 2 or 3, they took him to the physician, and the optic nerve had not attached. And he said, there's nothing we can do about this. There's no surgery, there's no nothing. Maybe in the future someday, but right now, no. He has to wear these little glasses so this eye doesn't get too weak from overuse. So I babysat him once a week, and his grandpa Fred, we'd just come up and we'd say, Hugo, can I release the life of God? Uh-huh. All right. Life of God in Hugo. Life of God, Hugo. Yeah, life of God. Life of God, Hugo. Yeah, life of God. Then about a year later, he could see a hand and light. And now it's improved more. It just keeps, pardon me, it just keeps getting better and better. Sometimes we think, I want it now. Just count it all joy, because this trying of your faith proves endurance. Keep at it. Keep consistent. Trust that your word is power. Trust that. Keep at it, because some things do take time. But he's functioning. He's playing every sport imaginable. Soccer, baseball, I don't know what all he's going to play. He thinks he's Spider-Man too. Climbs everywhere, you know. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like Rhonda, she kept speaking and speaking, and then boom, suddenly, okay, we're done. We're done. Let's move on to something else. Many times we settle. You know, well, my therapist friend said, this is what happened. What's wrong with you is that, really? And people take it. Oh, well, I've got carpal tunnel because my therapist friend said that this is. Well, they said on the internet that What? You watch a commercial, the side effects. Oh my God, I'm taking that medicine. I don't want to hear it. Creflo Dollar said one of the hardest healings he had to receive was one he studied. He studied the disease. He renewed his mind to the disease. He said, Lord, why was it so hard? He said, well, you knew everything